Hop on the bus to Badassville, certifying badasses, one podcast at a time. Just as apples are a core ingredient to a healthy diet, Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day is a core ingredient to living a fruitfully badass life. Fruitful Fridays with Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day and Weekend Vibes. Let's take a bite of some Apple a Day topics.
Yeah, let's take a bite of some apples and some weekend vibes. Hey, Kelly Orchard, the badass certifier here on this Fruitful Friday, September 3rd. Just a little bit ago, I did a live video saying I was going to do this Fruitful Friday as I was doing show prep. So now if you're listening on Friday, hey, I did this right after I did that live video that you just saw yesterday. And isn't that weird that I'm talking about it as if it was yesterday when for me right at this moment as I'm recording, it was just a few minutes ago. That's the beauty of either live or recorded. And I like to do both. And that's kind of what happened in my radio career is that we were automated assist. So I would do voice tracking for my radio show. I wasn't actually hardly ever live during that time frame. But whenever I wanted to go live, all I had to do was program it in, go into the studio, turn on the mic, and there I was. And I'm kind of doing this with video and podcasting now as well because I don't have a radio station. I am working to fix that, but I never know what happens because life is weird. Wouldn't you agree that life is throwing us a bunch of curveballs? Okay, so here I am with Fruitful Friday, and we're going to be kind of covering a little bit about, what's the topic of the day. And what I'm seeing is grief. A lot of it. Now, I know that I've opened myself up to grief with, starting a grief class here at Michelle's Place. But I also, it was important to me because, I've had some grief episodes myself, and it's ongoing. And I wanted, I practice what I teach. I do. I don't. Anything that I talk about on this podcast or in my psychotherapy practice or in any of my workshops or the grief classes, the support groups, I'm not giving you any kind of tips and tools that haven't worked for me also, but sometimes there's other things that work for other people. And so grief has been really prevalent in the topic. It's everywhere for every sort of reason. And I just wanted to take a little time to remind you that self-care during a time like this is super important. And I do practice what I teach. So the other day after a very long day and then after the grief class, part of the grief core class, there's an opportunity to share something that we would call a linking object to our loved one. And I wanted to share with the group this story. And it's always music related and it's always a radio story. Why is that? Well, in this particular work with this grief class, I'm sharing about my brother Brad, who died 6 years ago, just this past week. And so I'm sharing that with them, and this is my linking object, and of course I go to a song. And I can't play the song here, but I can tell you, because you can go listen to it yourself. But the way that I set the song up is very similar to how I do it in my Badass certification class, but for this purposes, it was a grief group, and I wanted them to understand this connection and this relationship that I'd had with my older brother. Now, the way that I set up the story was this: is that it's always a radio story, and we had just put on the radio station, and this in these days there was no internet where you could discover music on the internet. People when they released new songs, radio was the platform they released music on, and record company would distribute the LPs, the vinyl, out to the radio stations, and the radio station program director would choose whether or not that song was worthy of their airwaves. Basically, that's how it was done. Not anymore. Poor radio people. But anyway, so it was always fun to be able to debut a new song. Okay, well, when this one particularly came out, come on, it's Elton John. All right, it was an Elton John song. But I remember vividly being in the studio or at the station, and I'm standing right there in front of the glass. My brother Brad is in the studio, and he's about to play the song for the first time on our airwaves. I'm sure that the song has played in Los Angeles and everything. First, we're small market radio, so I'm sure that the song had already been played, and I'm standing there in front of the automation system, but my brother is live. And so, the automation system for us was just like a big stereo. You turn up the volume and you've got the big speakers right there. And this is one of the things we used to do, just blast ourselves out with the music. So Brad plays a song, and it's the song, I guess that's why they call it The Blues, from Elton John. You know the song. It's a huge hit. But it had just launched, and it hadn't really been determined yet. And so I played the song for the group last night, and at the very end it was like, and so instead of my brother announcing the song after it played of, obviously Elton John, it's Elton John, and he just says, and that was Elton John, everybody, and I guess that's why they call it a hit. And every time I hear that song, that's kind of my linking object to my brother Brad, is because he knew it was a hit, and we just enjoyed it. We shared that kind of moment together, listening to that song for the first time together at our radio station as it played on our airwaves. And it was a nice memory last night. And, music has always had a huge impact on me. And I teach now about how music can really impact you, and how you can rewire your brain for happiness, and also use music to calm you down, and when you're feeling anxious or when you need self-esteem. I'm not creating anything that's brand new. I just have my own way of demonstrating it, and the reasons why, and how you can find just the right song and always have it at your disposal. So, but I keep adding songs to it. I was telling you just the other day about, the Carpenters, and It's Yesterday Once More, and the memory that flashed back on that. In times of grief, of course, you're going to be recalling memories of your loved one. Recall happy ones, okay? And be okay with that. So also, last night I was outside sitting in the backyard after, long week, long day and everything else. And this is one of the things I do for self-care, because I'm in an office all day indoors, and it's been a hot summer. So I'm grateful to be indoors, but I'm also no windows. So when I go home after the end of the day and it's cooled off, I like to go out into my backyard and listen to some music and, have a little drink, a little calm down and winding down time. And, all of us, it's like I realized, it's like we had a really good group, the grief group, on Wednesday night. There was a bunch of silliness, lots of talk about, different work as we're working through different grief issues. And so here I am sitting outside, just kind of reflecting on the evening and the rest of the day and everything else, and realizing that my feet are cold and I wish I had my slippers on. And here, September 1st. And was it just mentally thinking it's September, it's supposed to cool down? Well, I looked at my temperature gauge, and it was 67 degrees. And I just kind of had to laugh at myself, because I really wish I had socks on my feet. Only in Southern California would we think that 67 degrees is cold, right? Well, when the song Take It to the Limit from the Eagles began to play, I've realized that particular song has taken me through my entire life. It's had an impact on me. Even now, the lyrics have this impact on me. Take It to the Limit by the Eagles. And it has become like, if somebody says, what is your all-time favorite song? What is the one song you would ever go to? It would be Take It to the Limit from the Eagles. Why? I can't really say why. I don't know. It's not a big secret. It just is. Every time I hear that song, I go back to a memory at a park with a bunch of people and my brother Buck. And so I'm not really quite sure what happened at that park. I have like Swiss cheese memories about it, but it has something to do with that song. So I'm kind of on a trek, a journey to discover what that might be. This is what I help you do as well. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of my own personal background with you on this Fruitful Friday, as we continue. Okay, it's Labor Day weekend. I know. And it's like some of the things that I'm doing as I'm working on, putting together a badass certification class, and we're targeting business owners. Because I know the challenges that you're having out there. I have a lot of friends who own businesses, and there's either so much work you can't keep up, or supplies aren't coming in and projects are stalled, or you're having a difficult time finding people to actually show up to work, or you're having to, adjust to a hybrid kind of work environment, or, the rules keep changing as far as, to mask or not wear a mask, to vaccinate or not vaccinate, or you send a kid to school or decide to homeschool. It's craziness, isn't it? It's just absolute craziness. So The Badass certification class is like the Disneyland of workshops. And why is it going to be good for you? Because I practice positive psychology, and I will teach you some tools that will help you practice some self-care, realign yourself with, your mission, and help you come up with better solutions for the problems that you face today. Because I got news for you. Nobody really has the answer for your individual circumstance. But somebody like me can help you find the best solution that will work in your specific circumstance. All right? There is no cookie cutter plan, and that's what I specialize in. I don't do cookie cutter. I love to bake, but I don't do cookie cutter cookies either. So, I'm a little silly on this Friday, but that's okay. See, the thing is that you can teach people how to master their skills, but you also need an outlet. You need to have something that's going to be good for you, teach you something new that will help you navigate this new paradigm, because skill set can be taught, but mindset must be owned. And employees and companies need a flux mindset that helps them identify their strengths and how they can better react to change, especially in this abnormal era, says author April Rinn. We resist the change that we can't control, and the change that blindsides us, the change that goes against our expectations, the change that delays our plans or disrupts them entirely. She's got a new book coming out, and the message caught me because that's exactly what I teach and exactly what happened to my life, which is why it's different now than it was before, but it's much more badass than it was before too, because of the tools. So what she said resonated with me. Like I said, that quote comes from author April Rinn, Rinne. If you want to look up her book, I don't even know what it's called. I just kind of clipped the quote from her. So, all right. So is it possible that what you're going through, maybe you have some hidden signs of depression? So let's just talk a little bit about depression right now. All right. That is what I specialize in. And I found an article that I can share with you, so that way you're just not taking my word for it. I'll put it in the show notes from Psych Central. It's one of my favorite article or newsletters to follow. I actually appeared on their podcast, I don't know, a while ago, and was able to talk about the Badass program. So I'm kind of a fan of Psych Central. So, hidden signs of depression. Chances are someone you love is experiencing symptoms of depression, even though they don't show it. Hidden depression, also called smiling depression or concealed depression, is when someone works very hard to conceal their symptoms and show the world that they're A-okay. They may appear to be high functioning at work and in social situations, but behind closed doors, they live with classic symptoms of depression. Some may hide their symptoms because they don't want their loved ones to worry. Others may feel too embarrassed to ask for help or struggle with perfectionism. Some may also feel guilty or ashamed for struggling to begin with, which are both common emotions that go hand in hand with depression. Getting familiar with these hidden signs of depression, you'll be prepared to support your loved ones and help them seek additional resources. Like I said, I'm going to share the link to this article in the show notes, because I'm not plagiarizing. I'm admitting I'm reading it. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. But, these are some of the things that this is actually what I practice in my psychotherapy practice. I teach about depression, psychoeducation, and then how to reduce the symptoms and how to cope with it. So this is something that's really no-brainer for me anymore, because I've learned it. But, one of the signs are sleeping too much or too little. So if your friend or family member is talking about how tired they are lately or how they have no energy, do they have bags under their eyes or show signs of sleep disturbance? How about changes in diet and weight fluctuation? Depression can manifest as, craving for foods that release the feel-good neurotransmitters. Also it can be change of appetite due in part to the influx of the stress hormone cortisol in their system. Some people say they have a less desire to eat, or that food no longer tastes good, or they're not really craving anything in particular. These can all be signs of depression. Drinking more alcohol. I don't need to read that much longer. How about forcing a happy face? I know there's a lot of talk about fake it till you make it, but the fake it till you make it in the professional world about of things that you don't know until you pick up the skill sets. That's one thing. But when you're faking depression until that you believe that you're okay, there's a huge difference in faking happiness until you find the happiness, or just faking a smile even though you're not doing anything about this depression. So when I tell you fake it till you make it, like I do in Mustang Monday with Regina Cassini not too long ago, that's on skill sets, basically, and confidence until you build the confidence. But when we're talking about depression, forcing a happy face, the bigger the smile, the bigger the depression hides in some cases. So toxic positivity is a buzzword of late, and for a good reason. An overly positive attitude, a perfectly manicured highlight reel on Instagram, or appearing cheerful in public may be a mask to cover up what's really going on. All right. A little self-disclosure here. Kind of sounds like me, doesn't it? And admittedly, I only put out positive messages. I'm not trying to fake it. I'm pretty honest with you guys here about what's going on at my home with my parents. And I'm not fighting depression. I have definitely some significant family concerns going on in my life. I mean, my parents are aging, and there's no getting around this. My parents are in their final years. There's no getting around that. So, but I'm also a performer. Okay, so and I'm also a psychotherapist. So when I looked at this paragraph, I'm like, whoa, that's me. But what about you? Okay, if you're not a performer and you're acting this way, or if you're going home and you're drinking a lot, or you're sleeping too much, or you're doing all of these other things, just keep that in mind. All right, that's all. Changes in language and topics of conversations is another sign of hidden depression. Crying for help and then taking it back. All right, that's huge. How about displaying intensified feelings? Depression is known to create sudden shifts in mood, including increased irritability, sadness, nervousness, tension, panic, grief, and crying spells. Men are also more likely to experience irritability, aggression, and misplaced anger, while women carry feelings of sadness. So also feeling less optimistic about life would be a sign of hidden depression. So there are also tips on how you can help somebody with hidden depression. So at this point, for me, I would just say, please send them my podcast and encourage them to start listening. Meanwhile, I'll put the link to this article in the show notes so that you can grab onto it. So meanwhile, on Fruitful Friday, let's give you some fruitful apples and talk about what your Labor Day plans are. Okay? All right. So I'm happy to do that. So this month featured on the Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day is the power of no. Each apple a day, I did them in like 30 segments. It's like a package of 30. So they would go one theme each month. And so this month we're covering the power of no. So if you haven't found Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day, it is on this same platform that you're listening to this podcast right now. You can also find them on the YouTube and on radio across the country, as a matter of fact. So today, some of the topical apples I picked for you on the power of no is say no to abandoning your self-respect. Do you know your worth? Self-respect is the confidence you have in yourself that you are behaving with honor and dignity. Abandoning means giving it up completely, to disown or discard. How does one abandon their self-respect? By giving up on your beliefs and allowing your personal dignity to be challenged. Say no to giving up your personal dignity and honor by holding true to your values, beliefs, and ethics. It's perfectly acceptable to empathize and hear others' points of view and opinions, but it doesn't mean that you must abandon your own and adopt theirs just to fit in. Maintain your self-respect by allowing yourself to be okay with who you are, managing your life responsibly, taking responsibility for your own perceptions and reactions, listening to your inner voice, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. Gandhi said, "They cannot take away our self-respect if we do not give it to them." Move yourself into a season of positive growth by just saying no to abandoning your self-respect. And then let's say no to ignoring your mission. When I work with coaching clients, I help them create a personal mission statement. It helps establish what is more important in your life, identifying past successes and core values, goals, and contributions. A personal mission statement is fundamental for growth and helps build you up professionally. Once you know what your mission is, you begin your journey of growth and will begin to reap the benefits of achieving even more success. But there are crises and events that come up that cause us to detour or even quit the path we're on. When you find yourself veering off your personal mission, recognize that you've gotten off course and get yourself back on it. Balancing your personal and professional life is not easy to do. That's why a mission statement can help you stay sane. So let me help you create your own mission statement for your life and move yourself into a season of positive growth by just saying no to ignoring your mission statement. Like I said earlier, I've got a badass certification class scheduled. So if you want to shoot me an email because you think that I can help you, I do certify badasses. And after the class, you will be a certified badass and you'll know how to create your own badass soundtrack. So it's a little bit of a fundraiser for Michelle's Place. So if you want to send me an email, I'll be glad to have some information sent to you. So weekend vibes and fruitfulness. It's the Labor Day weekend, last weekend of summer. And I'm looking forward to things kind of calming down. I don't know. The world is in flux, and so you might feel overwhelmed. So here's what I want to encourage you to do this weekend. Make sure you pepper in some downtime, some self-care time, a little bit of relaxing. Stay away from the news, away from the overwhelming chaos. Quiet your mind. You know, nature is the best, but, I don't plan to ever go away on holiday weekends. I used to do that plenty when I was younger. Now I look at it as it's for rookies. I'll stay home where it's nice and safe and sane. Plus, I got my parents. I'm taking care of them. Tonight I'm having what I call a cranberry sleepover. Why do I call it a cranberry sleepover? Well, my grandchildren are my cranberries. That's what I call them. And at least once a month, I take my two older ones, because the other ones live in Texas now. I take my two older granddaughters, and we have a sleepover. And usually there's a dance party or some video watching or whatever else that we get to do. And I'm very much looking forward to it. So I want to encourage you to have some fun this weekend. Turn off the news. Take out your music and listen to it. And, you can catch up on these podcasts too, because that'll really help you as well, right? So take it away, Bobby. So don't forget that, you got a Badass Habits ebook waiting for you. And you know what else? I will send you a License to Be Badass sticker when you download the Badass Habits ebook. You just give me your address and I'll put that in the mail right away. So have a great Labor Day weekend. I'll see you on Monday for Mustang Monday, and it's going to be Julie No, who's kind of a bigwig here in the Temecula area, and I'm looking forward to that. Take away, Bobby. Have a great Friday.
You've heard about the bus to Badassville. What happens when you find yourself aboard? Just what you'd hoped for. You will be given proven skills and drills that you use to flip your fears with powerful thinking ideas and take charge of a thoroughly badass attitude. The bus to Badassville is scheduled to come here for you. Pack your stuff. Remember, you have a free badass ebook coming when you drop in on licensedtobebadass.com.